It started like any other Thursday night. Reheated leftovers, Netflix half-watched in the background, and me sitting on the edge of my bed, sorting out my weekly pill organizer like some wannabe pharmacist. I'd just gotten back from a whirlwind work trip, still jet-lagged, still achy from sleeping on a too-soft Airbnb mattress. I'd popped my usual mix, iron supplement, melatonin, a probiotic that promised miracles, and reached for the tiny bottle labeled PM. White cap, blue label, familiar. I didn't even glance at the fine print. I remember the pills looked a little rounder than usual, but I didn't think twice. I swallowed them dry, turned off the lights, and curled up under the covers, hoping for one of those deep, dreamless sleeps that leave you feeling reborn. What I got instead was darkness laced with static. Not dreams. Noise. Like 1,000 overlapping conversations with no clear source. My heart was racing. My skin felt hot. And somewhere deep in the back of my throat, a bitterness bloomed that wasn't just regret, it was chemical. I sat up, tried to breathe, but the room was spinning. I remember stumbling into the hallway, crashing into the coat rack, then everything snapped to black. No tunnel of light. No profound messages from the beyond. Just nothing. And then the beeping started. Rhythmic. Sterile. Annoyingly alive. I opened my eyes to fluorescent lights and the distant hum of machines. The hospital. An oxygen tube up my nose. Monitors stuck to my chest. A nurse standing at the foot of the bed with a look that could freeze lava. "You're lucky," she said, not kindly. "Someone found you in time." Someone? I blinked. My phone buzzed on the tray table next to me. 15 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. The name under it chilled me. Erica, pharmacy. I didn't know anyone named Erica, much less someone from a pharmacy. My voice came out as a croak when I asked the nurse about it. She shrugged, handed me a paper cup of ice chips, and said the doctor would be in soon. But my mind had already left the hospital room. Erica. The name itched in my brain like déjà vu. My phone buzzed again, same number. Against all judgment, I answered. "You're awake," the voice said, more relief than surprise. "You took the wrong meds." My throat tightened. "Who is this?" I rasped. A pause. "We switched bags. At the airport." My blood ran cold. I remembered, a mad dash through TSA, my tote bag tumbling to the floor, colliding with someone else's almost identical one. A quick, awkward exchange, a half laugh, a mutual, "I think this one's mine." I thought nothing of it, until now. "What did I take?" I asked. She hesitated. "My meds," she said. "Antipsychotics. 2 antiepileptics. A benzo taper." Silence ballooned between us. "I have a neurological condition. It's controlled, well, mostly. But those weren't meant for someone like you." I stared at the monitor, the steady pulse of my heart betraying the chaos inside me. "Why didn't you say something?" I whispered. "I didn't know until hours later. I'd already taken your supplements. I didn't feel different. So I assumed." I was wrong. She sounded hollow, wrecked. "When I found the bottle with your name, I called your emergency contact." No answer. I called around, pharmacy, hospital. "You didn't have a medical ID." I didn't. I never needed one until now. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I think I nearly killed you." But what she said next sent a shiver down my spine. "But the pills I took? The ones I thought were yours, they weren't yours either." "What do you mean they weren't mine?" I asked, sitting up too fast and feeling the fore tug at my arm. My head swam, but I fought through it, adrenaline sharp enough to cut through the fog. "Your supplement bottles," Erica said, her voice thin and cautious. "They had tamper seals that were broken." I didn't notice at first, but the pills, they weren't just probiotics and melatonin. Not all of them. I froze. "I work in pharmaceutical compounding," she continued. I smelled the bottle. One of them had a compound I've only seen used in experimental treatment trials. Strong stuff. Off-market. Usually controlled. Sometimes used for severe dissociative conditions or memory suppression. My blood felt cold. "You're saying my bottle was filled with black market drugs?" "I'm saying someone replaced them," she said, carefully. "Someone went to a lot of trouble to make them look like yours." I ran the codes. The labels don't match the actual meds. My mind raced backward. Had anyone had access to my luggage? My home? My brain tossed images like puzzle pieces. The Airbnb key left on a table, the hotel maid who'd come twice in one day, the lost baggage claimed 2 weeks ago in Austin. It all felt meaningless until now. "I need to see those pills," I muttered. "I kept them," Erica said. "I didn't trust what was in them, and I didn't want to throw them away until I knew what I was dealing with. I've already started running tests at my lab." "Lab? Small-scale private work," she added, quickly. But enough to know this wasn't just a mislabel. I stared at the wall across from me. My own life was suddenly a stranger's. Pills I didn't recognize. Bottles I didn't fill. "Did they do anything to you?" I asked her, softly. Yes, she said, with a sigh that felt like it had been trapped in her lungs all week. I remembered something I was never supposed to. I gripped the hospital blanket tighter. What do you mean, remembered? There was a long silence on the line, the kind that makes your skin itch. Then Erica's voice returned, lower, slower. Something from years ago. A patient file. A case I thought had been sealed. Suppressed. Erased. She paused. But it wasn't. Not completely. I swallowed hard. What does that have to do with me? That's what I've been trying to figure out, she said. But listen, this part's going to sound insane. The pills I took, from your bottle? They triggered memory flashes. That's not something supplements do. Not even strong ones. These weren't supplements. They were, she stopped, then said, something meant to undo suppression. Memory recovery agents, we think. But they're not supposed to be on the market. I was quiet. Because in that moment, I realized something. Something tiny and horrifying. A face. A room. A sound. It was gone before I could grasp it, like a dream slipping through fingers. But I had seen it. Just a flicker. Erica, I whispered. I think they worked on me too. My heart pounded. Do you know what they're trying to bring back? She let out a breath. No. But someone wanted you to remember something. Or maybe, they wanted someone else to. That's when I heard a knock at my hospital door. I flinched. Someone's here, I said. A nurse? She asked. No, I said slowly. He's wearing a suit. Through the glass, I saw a man in his late 40s, sharp-collared, polite smile. He held a clipboard he hadn't written on. They usually don't come this fast, Erica murmured. Don't say anything. The man knocked again. My phone buzzed once more. A new message. Unknown number. Just 2 words. Don't talk. He stepped in before I could hide the phone. Good afternoon, he said, flashing a badge too quickly for me to read. I'm with Patient Advocacy and Critical Incident Services, PACES. His smile was practiced, gentle, but there was something rehearsed about his whole presence, like he'd memorized the script a little too well. We're just following up on your recent event. I didn't respond. Erica's words echoed in my head. Don't say anything. He pulled up a chair and sat at an angle, just off-center enough to feel disarming. How are you feeling? I nodded faintly. Good, I croaked. He offered a warm smile. That's good to hear. Do you remember what happened before your episode? My eyes flicked to the 4. The heart monitor. The nurse's call button. Not much, I lied. He jotted something down, his first actual note, and said, we're seeing a few isolated incidents like yours. People accidentally exposed to unapproved compounds. His eyes flicked up to mine. A shared contaminant, perhaps. Traced back to a pharmacy in Cincinnati. Have you been there recently? I shook my head. I hadn't. But Erica might have. Was he here because of her, or me? He leaned in slightly. Do you recall taking any medications not prescribed to you? No, I said. Too quickly. He paused, then adjusted the clipboard. Do you know anyone named Erica L? I'm tired, I cut in, voice sharper than intended. Can we continue later? He studied me for a beat, then stood. Of course. Just routine questions. He pulled a card from his pocket. Call if anything comes back to you. Then he left. I didn't touch the card. Just stared at it lying on the tray. Then I picked up my phone. Erica had texted again. Was he clean-shaven? Light blue shirt? I typed back. Yes. Her reply was instant. That man visited my lab 3 days ago. Said he was FDA. He took my test samples. My pulse spiked as I reread her message. So he wasn't with PACES. He wasn't checking on me. He was collecting, erasing. I felt suddenly exposed, like the hospital gown was thinner than paper and every thought I had was on display. I texted Erica again. What did he take? Her response made my fingers go cold. All of it. The samples. The pill remnants. Even the notes I'd written about your batch. Said it was classified under biosecurity protocols. Biosecurity. What was I carrying around in my pill organizer that qualified as a biosecurity threat? I stood up, wobbly, weak, but fueled by that white-hot panic that only comes when you realize your life has been folded into someone else's story without your consent. I disconnected the 4, pressed the call button, and when a nurse came rushing in, I said, bathroom, and shuffled into the hallway instead. I wasn't planning on running. Not yet. Just listening. The man in the blue shirt was 2 doors down, speaking softly to someone in scrubs. I couldn't hear much, just a few words. Containment, misidentification, and oddly, leak. I ducked back into my room and locked the door. My phone buzzed again. Erica, if he's still there, you need to leave. Now. They're not just trying to silence this. They're trying to trace who else might have been exposed. I replied, why me? I'm nobody. But even as I typed it, I didn't believe it. Because what Erica had said earlier had stuck with me. Someone wanted you to remember. But what if it wasn't about me remembering something from my past? What if it was about someone else remembering me? And just then, as I turned to grab my backpack, I saw something tucked under the hospital tray. A note. Handwritten. Not mine. Just 4 words. Barely legible. We've met before. Run. I stared at the note, trying to make sense of the shaky handwriting. The way the R in run curled slightly like whoever wrote it hadn't held a pen in a while. It wasn't on hospital stationery. It was a torn corner of paper, soft and worn. I flipped it over. Nothing on the back. But the way it had been folded, carefully, with 3 creases, told me someone had thought hard about whether to leave it at all. My mouth was dry as sandpaper. I checked the hallway. Empty. Then I opened the small closet in the room and stuffed my phone, wallet, and charger into my backpack, slipped on the jeans and hoodie I'd arrived in, now folded on a chair, and quietly pushed the window open. My room was on the 2nd floor. Not great, not impossible. There was a narrow ledge, then a drain pipe down to a landscaping mound below. I wasn't athletic, but I was motivated. I climbed, slid, fell, rolled. Nothing broke. That was the good news. I landed behind a shrub with a surprisingly gentle thud, heart pounding in my ears. I took off limping toward the parking lot, phone already buzzing with Erica's number. I left, I whispered when I picked up. Tell me where to go. She didn't hesitate. There's a co-working space off Summit Avenue. 3rd floor. The name's Fathom Labs, but it's unlisted. Get there. Don't call anyone else. What is this? I asked, breathing hard. Why does it feel like I'm in a spy novel I didn't sign up for? Her voice dropped. Because someone's been testing memory agents in the real world. And you, she hesitated, you weren't just exposed accidentally. I think you were deliberately seeded. I stopped walking. What? Some compounds are designed to restore memory, she said. But the ones you had? They were identity fragments, coded to reactivate specific neural pathways. Meaning. They weren't supposed to remind you of your life. They were meant to override it with someone else's. The street spun around me as those words settled like wet concrete in my chest. Not to remember, but to overwrite. I leaned against a bus stop pole, catching my breath, watching traffic blur by. You're saying someone planted pieces of another person's memory in me? I whispered. Yes, Erica said quietly. And if I'm right, you were chosen because your brain's chemistry matched the target profile. The target? I repeated. You mean the person whose memories I'm carrying? Not exactly, she said. I think you were meant to become them. That line hit like a gut punch. Why? I don't know yet, she admitted. But the compound you ingested, it's one I've seen once before. A few years ago, a patient in a private trial started speaking fluent Romanian overnight. He'd never even left the country. When we scanned his brain, there were regions lighting up that shouldn't have been active. Like he'd absorbed a life that wasn't his. And me? I asked. What if it worked? She paused. Then you might not be you for much longer. My stomach twisted. I thought back to the flash of a memory earlier, a woman's voice humming a lullaby in a language I didn't recognize. The sting of smoke in my lungs. An elevator door closing in slow motion. All of it had felt real, intimate, but it wasn't my life. At least, not the one I remembered. I'm almost at the lab, I told her, spotting the building she described, tall glass, no sign, just a gray keypad by the side entrance. Punch in 4-1-9-7, she said. Take the elevator to 3. Don't stop. Don't talk. I did as she said. The keypad beeped. The door buzzed open. The elevator groaned upward. When I stepped into the 3rd floor space, she was already there, Erica, holding a vial of dark amber liquid and staring at me like I wasn't a person, but a time bomb. We're out of time, she said. Because if those memories settle in place, you'll forget this conversation ever happened. I stood frozen in the doorway, caught between disbelief and dread. Erica didn't look like the voice on the phone. She looked sharper, more exhausted. Her lab coat was wrinkled, her eyes ringed with the kind of worry that doesn't sleep. Sit, she said, gesturing to a rolling chair in front of a computer console cluttered with charts, EG scans, and something that looked disturbingly like a heat map of my brain. You've been tracking me, I said. She didn't flinch. Since the hospital, your brain's showing signs of integration, neurological overlap with a memory structure we've only ever seen in one other subject. Let me guess, I said. The Romanian guy? She hesitated. No, the other one was a woman. Codename, Kayla. What happened to her? Erica was quiet for a long time. She didn't make it. The words hit me in the chest. You mean she died? No, she said softly. I mean she became someone else. I looked around at the screens. One showed a looping video. Me in the hospital, scratching my left arm, then stopping suddenly, as if hearing something. Only I hadn't remembered that part. The compound didn't just restore memory, she said. It imprinted identity. Personality drift is a known risk. You'll still look like you, still walk and talk like you. But if we don't interrupt the process, your mind will realign to someone else's blueprint. That's what these agents were designed to do. Why? I asked. Why would anyone want that? Erica stared at me. Because the woman you're turning into didn't want to be found. And the only way to hide someone forever is to hide them inside someone else. My throat closed. So what happens now? She held up the amber vial. This can stop it. Maybe. But you have to decide fast. Because the memories are stabilizing. What if I wait too long? I asked. She glanced at the clock. Then the next time you wake up, you won't be asking that question. I looked at the vial in her hand like it might bite me. How does it work? I asked, barely recognizing the sound of my own voice. Erica didn't answer immediately. Instead, she moved toward a compact centrifuge, placed the vial into it, and tapped a sequence on the keypad beside it. It disrupts neurochemical bindings, she finally said. If the memory overlay's not fully embedded, it can reverse the integration. You'll be disoriented for a while, maybe weeks. But it gives you a shot at staying you. And if it is embedded? I asked. She glanced at me. Then it tears both identities apart. So best case, I feel lost for a while, I said. Worst case, you lose both versions of yourself. You wake up a blank slate. My hands curled into fists on my lap. I'd spent my entire life trying to figure out who I was. And now, without ever signing up for it, I was being overwritten like some corrupted file. You still have the note? She asked suddenly. The one from the hospital? I pulled it from my back pocket. Yeah. She took it gently, held it under a lamp, and turned it over. Her brow furrowed. There's more here. She pulled out a small chemical pen and shaded the paper lightly. Like a spy movie cliché, words emerged beneath the original message. Not many. Just 5. She knows the location. 013. Erica's face paled. That's not a code, she whispered. It's a site. I thought it was decommissioned. What's there? I asked. If you think you're someone else, maybe that place will tell you who. She looked torn. Or who she was. My heart pounded. Can I see it? Before we do the reversal? She hesitated. If we go, and it's true, you might start slipping faster. Then we go now, I said. Because if I'm turning into her, I want to know why she needed to disappear. The ride to Site 013 was silent except for the hum of the road and the occasional rattle of glass vials in Erica's case. It was 2 hours outside the city, tucked somewhere between nowhere and forgotten, off an old service road lined with dead trees and rusted-out fencing. We parked in front of a gate that had been chained shut, so long the lock had rusted to itself. Erica pried it open with a crowbar she pulled from the trunk like it wasn't her first time breaking into government leftovers. This was a memory clinic, she said quietly as we stepped through. Part of a defunded behavioral project. Officially, they ran therapy trials. Unofficially, they tested erasure and transfer protocols. The building loomed ahead, low, wide, and half swallowed by ivy. It looked like it had been abandoned in a rush. I felt an ache in my skull as we stepped inside, like the air itself pressed against my temples. You okay? Erica asked. I don't know, I said honestly. The place smelled like dust and old wires. As we moved down the hall, flickering emergency lights cast long shadows on the walls. One room still had papers scattered across the floor, sign-in sheets, assessment logs, pages of memory recall transcripts. And there, under a pile of files, I saw it, a photograph. I picked it up. A grainy image of a woman sitting on a couch, looking straight at the camera. My stomach dropped. It was me, or someone who looked exactly like me. Same face, same scar on the left temple. Only, her eyes were colder, emptier. That's her, Erica said softly. That's the original subject. Codename, Kayla. You weren't just chosen randomly. You were matched. My hand shook. She volunteered for this? No, Erica said. She disappeared mid-trial. No one knew what happened. I turned the photo over. A date was scrawled in the corner. 2 years ago. The exact week I woke up in my apartment after what I thought was a migraine, with 3 missing days. The moment I read that date, something inside me shifted, like a key turning in a lock I didn't know I had. 3 days. I told myself it was stress, burnout, just another foggy weekend lost to caffeine and Netflix. But now, standing in that room with Kayla's face staring back at me, my face, I knew better. I hadn't lost those days. They'd been used. Erica stared at me, the silence between us dense with what neither of us could say out loud. If that's when it started, she said finally, the overlay's been dormant until now. Triggered by the pills, I murmured. She nodded. And maybe, by proximity, something here is pulling the rest of her memory forward. I sat down, suddenly exhausted. My palms were slick with sweat. My ears buzzed. And then, like a dam cracking open, I remembered. Not everything. Just a flash. A sterile room. Men in lab coats. A voice, my voice saying, I'm ready. And a final instruction, you'll wake up as someone new. She's already close. I blinked hard. She chose me, I whispered. She knew me. What? Erica asked. I held up the photo again. This wasn't random. She didn't just match with me, she knew who I was. I reached into my pocket and pulled out something I'd forgotten was there. A key. Small, silver, unmarked, except for the initials. That's my key, Erica said slowly. From my apartment. She gave it to me, I said, or left it in my coat the day I lost those 3 days. Kayla was never trying to escape the clinic. She was trying to hide in me, but only long enough to make her next move. Erica stared. Which is what? I took a breath. To finish what they started. To bring them down. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. And somehow, that didn't scare me. It felt right. Like I'd always been walking toward this moment. Even if I had no memory of the path.